Hi everyone and welcome to 1989 Arcade Bar. My name is Ben, I'm owner of the bar, and this is our 5th birthday lockdown celebration streamathon. We're in lockdown in Sydney at the moment, so unfortunately we can't have everybody in to enjoy the arcade for our 5th birthday, so we figured we would do an online version. So we've got a whole bunch of fun things coming up this weekend. But to kick things off, I'm going to take you on a tour around the venue. So join me in, grab your wine, grab your beers, whatever your tipple is. Join me in toasting you, in toasting everybody who's visited 1989 and supported us over 5 years. Thank you to everybody who's just come in for a beer, a wine, a cocktail, people who have introduced their friends to the place, people who have had their first dates here, people who have come in for our events like our arcade tournaments, comedy, the VHS flea pit, people who've enjoyed a crappy film being played off a VHS upstairs, our trivia nights, everything. Just thank you so much for all the support over the last 5 years. Like seriously, we would not still be here if it wasn't for all of you. And I don't take that lightly. Opening up a bar is the most terrifying thing because you just don't know if you're gonna open something that people like. And it takes a long time for people to find a place. It takes a long time for a bar to get its feet, you know, under the table, so to speak. Like, it's been 5 years and I feel like we've only really just started warming up. You know, COVID's knocked us back a bit, but we're still here and it's all thanks to you. Like, I seriously, I'm gonna gush for a little while just to say thank you because, yeah, I don't know how else to do it apart from saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And I really hope to get to see you all for beers and enjoy the space when we're able to reopen again. But until then, this is for you. Cheers everyone. It might have been cheekily for me as well, but yum. And let's kick off the tour. So we're gonna start with the game that, I guess the game that really started everything. It was the game that inspired me to open this bar. It's the game that I've loved since I was a kid, and once I bought it, the actual arcade, it was the game that kind of kicked off everything. So that game is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, here we are. This is Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, not Ninja Turtles. So this is the first arcade I ever bought. I had the eureka moment one day about the fact that I was an adult and that I had some, you know, disposable cash. So I decided to look on Gumtree and see how much it would be to buy a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles arcade game. I was really surprised. It was only, I say only, £720, pounds, not dollars. And I was shocked. I was like, well, I've got 720 quid sitting around in my bank account. I'm sure I can convince my wife to let me buy myself a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles arcade machine. And luckily, I was able to do that. So I bought this off of a policeman who had it in his living room and needed to get rid of it because his wife was fed up with how much room it was taking, because these games take up a lot of room. And he bought it through the extra money he made during the 2012 Olympics. Now, the first mistake I made was not realizing just how big it is. As you can see, it's taller than the other games here, and all these are pretty big. So height was an issue, and also I just didn't really, I just didn't know. I didn't know how heavy they were, I didn't know how bulky they were, I didn't know how much work it would be to keep it alive. I was such a noob to the whole thing that I didn't actually have any room to store it when I bought it. I just bought it on a whim. I even hired a truck that wasn't really big enough for it. I had to lay it down on its back. I couldn't put it in the truck, stand it up. I did a ton of things wrong. So luckily my nan, my grandmother, said that I could keep it in her garage, which is what I did for a good half a year before moving over. And now it's the flagship game here at 1989, and also it's the namesake because it's my favorite game. And it was released in 1989. I named the bar after it. And also another interesting thing about this game is it's called Hero Turtles, not Ninja Turtles. Now, Hero Turtles because back in the 80s, the word ninja was outlawed. There was a lot of violence to do with nunchucks and throwing stars and all that kind of stuff. So we were not allowed in Europe to have the word ninja. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles became Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Beautiful 4-player game, very snug, very compact. You'll see that the control panel It's not as wide and as well laid out as the LAI cabs are. These are really nicely laid out, these cabinets with the nice big wide control panels where everybody can stand facing the game. Ninja Turtles is, you got one player who stands on the side here, and you've got another player who stands here and here and here. It's a little bit awkward, but it's a beautiful cabinet. And then next to Turtles, we obviously have the Simpsons. So when thinking about opening an arcade bar, which first came to me when my wife and I did a trip to New York, and we discovered the barcade scene over in New York, I really wanted to open up an arcade bar in London, but we had decided to make the move to Sydney. So I asked my wife very nicely if we could use our life savings to open up an arcade bar, and she said, if Sydney hasn't got an arcade bar by the time we move over, then yes you can. So we moved over, I did my research, and what do you know? Sydney didn't have an arcade bar. And luckily, Barney, my wife, was good to her word, and we were able to use our life savings to open this joint. So that's why we are here. You know, the fun thing is you always think about what games are you gonna put in your arcade? And there are a few staples, I believe. For instance, you know, you do have to have a Simpsons. You do have to have a Turtles. You do have to have a Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. A Street Fighter 2, which is over there. A few light gun games, especially games like Time Crisis 2. But The Simpsons is an incredible game. It's on par with Ninja Turtles in terms of playability. Both of these are beat 'em ups, and this cabinet has seen better days. This is what I like about old school arcade games, is that they have damage. You can tell that they've been loved. Like you can see here on the control panel that this has seen, it's seen some action. It's a bit scuffed up. And that's because these cabs are original. Interesting fact about The Simpsons is that initially in the early days of The Simpsons, Marge was meant to have bunny ears. So her ears are actually the size of a bunny rabbit's ears. And that's why she's got such long hair. They actually hide her ears. And the only evidence of this, which, because obviously we never saw that in the cartoons, is actually in the arcade game. So there's some scenes where you see Marge getting electrocuted and you'll see her bunny ears under her hair. And also, I think when she's trying to hit something and her hair gets caught in the Hoover. Let's just go back in time for a bit, huh? Back in time to a time where Space Invaders ruled the arcades. So when this came out, which I believe was in '78, this is like the Beatles of the arcade scene. This game had an incredible impact in the arcade world. This is a Australian Space Invaders cab. You can see here it says Allied Leisure Industries. Originally this was done by Taito, but our cabinet is an Australian built cabinet. Still one of our favorites. We've been very lucky back in the day to have a tournament on this cab, and the world record holder, John Tannehill, who's a lovely, lovely guy, came down from Brisbane to compete. That was a few years ago now, and I think he put a score up on our board, which unfortunately has been beaten, but it was only a quick score that he did in the tournament, but still great to have world record holders come to the arcade and enjoy the games. And also show people some tips and tricks on how to play the games. You walk up to the bar, you order a drink, and then when you hang a right, you walk into our first part of the arcade, and you're greeted with this lineup. When we first opened, we only had 5 arcades here, and the collection now has grown to 32. But this was always the plan, like to walk in here and just have that hit of like feeling like you're in a classic arcade, but with a modern twist. And we wanted to give it a slight warehouse vibe in here. Definitely a dive bar. When you walk into this bar, we really wanted there to be talking points, things that we love. So if you walk up to the VHS wall, you'll notice that we've ganged up the tapes into genres and franchises. So there's a little section where you've got like Keanu Reeves movies all together. You've got some Schwarzenegger movies all together. We put all the Batmans together, all the Karate Kids together. And we actually numbered all these tapes. We laid them down on the floor and numbered them. So when the builders built this, they knew the order that we wanted the tapes. So what happens is as soon as you get to the tapes behind the arcades, they're repeats, they're junk tapes. There's like a lot of Friends series box sets back here that are repeated quite a bit. So all the gold is up here, And the idea is that you come in, have a drink, sit down and reminisce about some of these movies that you've seen. What are your favorites? What are your favorites? Now then, this guy I bought from an antique shop in South King. And a guy walked in one day and said, I made that for Winter Wonderland. I was like, no way. He was like, yeah way. And I'm like, that's cool. And he goes, I've got these puppets. I've got these puppets that I made as well that I don't know what to do with them. Would you like them? And I was like, well, I can't really afford to buy them off of you, but we can hang them up in the bar. And then, you know, if anybody wants to purchase them, they can. So we have Fred and Barney up here. So if anybody wants to purchase these, come and let me know. They are for sale. And obviously our pop culture theme is in the bar here as well. All the posters, we've got Castle Grayskull and all sorts of stuff behind the bar. That wall is covered with comic book pages that we individually stuck in. We also have board games to play. We've got a whole load of board games, and we have beers, all about the beers. It's all looking a little bit sad at the moment, but it'll be back in its glory one day. Anyway, woo! So you walk in here, and you walk up to our VHS wall and you go, oh my God, look at all these great games. Mortal Kombat 2. So I bought this from a collector, and it's in immaculate condition. It's a really lovely Australian built Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2, hugely popular. We have Mortal Kombat 1 as well, and when we first opened, we did actually open with Mortal Kombat 1. And I still have Mortal Kombat 1, just not here unfortunately because we don't have room. But Mortal Kombat 2, really, really popular. We've had some really great tournaments on this cab. Dun. Anybody see the movie? Any thoughts on the movie? I thought the movie was all right. I still got the old nostalgia for the 90s film. An NBA Jam. So going back to the staples, I think you have to have in an arcade bar, things that people love. This really is, these 4 cabs right here really do represent that staple, I feel. NBA Jam, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not a big fan of the game, but then I'm not really a sporty dude. I'm sorry, I'm a sofa kind of guy. But I do appreciate everything that's gone into this game to make it awesome. From the art on the control panels to the game itself. It is a fun game, it's just not my favorite game. We've held a couple of tournaments on this one before. We held one in collaboration with Netherworld in Brisbane. That was really fun. Here's hoping we can do more stuff like that, huh? Oh, let's hope so. This is Chase HQ2, which came out in, I believe, 2006. There it is on the screen. So probably the most modern game that we have here, certainly arcade. And we were very lucky to squeeze it in this corner here, just in the window. Really interesting pickup. My friend Michael, who did a lot of fix-ups for us here at the bar, called me one day and said that there's these 2 cabs for sale down the road from me. Shall we go and get them? I've got a trailer. And I said, sure man, I'll tell you what, I'll buy them. If you pick them up, you can keep one as payment. So it was a Warzade and this. And we actually did a YouTube video on fixing this one up because it's quite interesting what needed to be done to fix it up. It was very simple. We picked it up, we stuck it in Michael's trailer, we got it back to his place, and then Michael literally plugged in a cable and this thing was working again. Super fun update of the original Chase HQ. The idea of this game is that you have to ram bad guys off of the road. So you're a policeman and you've got to ram baddies off the road. Just got to smash into their cars, get them out of there. I do like the flashing lights, the whole thing. It's a fantastic game, and we're so lucky in the tiny space that we work here in 89 to be able to stick it in the corner here. So, you know, driving games. That's another thing. We've really tried over the years to have as many different types of cabinets as possible in the space. So you see we have low boys, we have gun games, we got some candy cabs that I'm going to show you guys. We have original imports from America. It's really all about getting as much of the play experience on different cabinets in the bar as possible. We've got our high scores up there on the wall, and we really encourage people to come in and try and smash a high score. We also have consoles here as well, free to play. So we have a Nintendo 64 and at the moment a PlayStation 2 with Tekken Tag. In the N64 we have several games behind the bar that you can choose from. So we've got Smash Bros in at the moment, but we do have you know, GoldenEye, Mario Kart, all the classics. And check this out. So these are high score limited edition buttons designed by a local artist who has designs and draws this local comic book called Spewtown. So he has designed these limited edition buttons which you can win here at 89 if you get the high scores which are here on any of these relevant games. So Point Blank 2, Time Crisis 2, Puzzle Bobble, WonderBoy and Double Dragon. As you can see, he's done his own very unique take on each of the designs for the arcades, and they're fantastic, man. We've had a few people come in to collect the whole set, and I love him. I think he's done such a good job on these. So when we're open again, you will have the opportunity to win these. Again, get the high score, and you can win these limited edition buttons. Once they're gone, they're gone. So once these have all gone, we'll move on to more games and different designs. So limited edition, come and get them while they're hot. My wife made this light, made out of broken N64 controllers, because we go through a lot of N64 controllers. So she created this. Now this wall here is our graffiti wall. When we first opened, this was the only wall that we allowed people to graffiti on. So we had Vance Joy here for a photo shoot. So he scribbled his name there. I think you can just about read that. So when you walk into 89, you'll realize that graffiti is everywhere. We started with this wall, and then it kind of expanded throughout the bar. People just kept on drawing on our walls. So we were like, all right. So you can see that everywhere now is graffitied, which is fine. It adds to the vibe. It adds to the vibe. If you look up, you rule. There you go. It even adds to the positive attitude of the bar as well. Here is Street Fighter 2. So when I moved to Australia and started collecting games to be in the bar, I think this was the first game I bought. And it wasn't Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, or Champion Edition. It was the regular World Warrior. A couple of years back, I did a vote on Facebook, what version of Street Fighter 2 do you want in the bar? And everybody picked Champion Edition. So this Lowboy has been with us since day dot, when we first opened up as a cafe. And it served us well. I mean, this is your classic fish and chip shop cab, next to Shinobi as well, which is a tiny, 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 tiny little cab. But these are good examples of the kind of cabinets that you would get in fish and chip shops. I mean, this Shinobi cab in particular is really small. I love it. So again, with 89, just trying to get as many different style of arcade cabinets as possible in the bar. House of the Dead 2. This is an absolutely beautiful cab. We are so lucky to have it. Again, I did a YouTube video on this, which you can watch on our YouTube page, which is obviously www.youtube.com/989arcadebar. This was a warehouse pickup. My mate Dan got in touch with me and said, there's this guy who's got a warehouse up in Newcastle who's selling off a whole bunch of cabs. It's quite a sad story. This guy had a wonderful concept for a warehouse style arcade. And unfortunately, I think COVID just ruined that for him. So I went up with Dan. Dan had his eye on a Blast City, which is a beautiful Japanese style candy cap. And I was interested in this House of the Dead 2. Very lucky, wonderful cabinet, not had to really, knock on wood, do much with it. The game board stuffs up every now and again. These are very famous for stuffing up, but the only thing that stuffs up on our game board is, as you can see there, 2 credits to start. We only charge $1 a game here at 989, but this cab likes to change to 2 credits, so I have to set that to 1 credit. Fantastic game, and really complements this corner here, which is the light gun section of our bar. Time Crisis 2. Again, a staple of any arcade bar, you have to have a Time Crisis 2. It's the law, and we're very lucky to have this cabinet. Gorgeous cabinet. I bought this off of a guy in Foster. And of course, the main thing people love about Time Crisis is the awesome Namco guns. These are actually new 3D printed Namco guns, because if you buy the originals, they're about $500 a piece, and we go through so many guns here, where they recoil, they do everything you need to do, and they're wonderful. Light gun games, they are the best. And interestingly enough, sorry to bore you guys with the build of this place, but this area here, when we first moved in, was actually the counter area. This is where the counter was for the previous shop. So this was all built up. There was a sink, that fireplace was all covered over, and it was a completely different space. If I've got a photograph to show you, I'll put that in the video, but this was one of the biggest things we changed in the venue. We ripped this whole thing out, we relaid the floor, we built the balustrade, because as you can see, the balustrade for us is so important with the vibe here. You can sit up here and you can just take in the ambience of the arcade. Oh look, there's my beer! I'll grab that later on. Yes, so we put in this balustrade, obviously so we could get more people sitting up here, but also just to open up the room, because for a long time this was it. This was it. For a couple of years, this was the only space we had, these two rooms, the bar room and this arcade. Then we decided to close the kitchen and expand into the kitchen. Unfortunately, one of these cabs is off. Normally we have Final Fight in one of these cabs. We went with a Japanese style alleyway with the design of this space. So this is our old kitchen, which has now got 4 Astro City candy cabs in and pinball. So for a long time we didn't have any pinball, and then in 2019 Scott from Player One Pinball got in touch with me and said, have you ever thought about pinball? And I was like, oh yeah. And Scott provides pinballs here to 1989. So we've got 2 at the moment. We will get another one in soon, so we'll have 3. And we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Stern pinball that was released a couple of years ago. Very on theme here for 1989. And Star Wars. We celebrate pop culture, we celebrate movies, video games, fun stuff. And these pinballs, which I've grown to appreciate more and more and more over the years, really stand testament to that. There is a space here for a 3rd pinball that is kind of come in soon. There'll be more news about that in our candies. We've got X-Men versus Street Fighter, normally Final Fight, which unfortunately is off. Alien vs Predator, which is one of my favorites. I love this game. And at the moment we have Captain America and the Avengers in this 3rd machine here. Now this, the 4th machine, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. We swap the game out on this last machine quite regularly. But at the moment we decided to have Captain America and the Avengers, which is a really fun little side-scrolling beat-em-up. But that might get swapped out for another game at some point. And then we have our Neo Geo with Metal Slug 2, which is the Neo Geo that Martin Tane Taylor got the world record on. This is the very cabinet. Very exciting day that was. Neo Geos are fantastic. I love these cabinets. So it's a 4 slot. So we have 4 games here. You just hit this button and it's flicked through the games. So we have Puzzle Bobble, which is hugely popular here at 89. We've got people who come in just for this game. WINDJAMMERS, which I love. This is a frisbee game, 2-player head-to-head frisbee game. It's wonderful. Let's watch a little bit of action here. Let's watch a little bit of action. So basically you're just trying to sort of out-frisbee your player. That's all it is. It's out-frisbeeing your player. And you've got special moves and different kind of like levels of attack and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty special. And then we also have Shock Troopers 2, which is like an isometric style shooter, a bit like Mercs. And also, you know, you can get into vehicles and do all sorts of fun stuff. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great game. All right, that's downstairs. Shall we go upstairs? Just a hint that there's something else upstairs. So let's go and have a look. All right, so first thing you'll notice when you walk upstairs is that it's a totally different vibe up here. We've gone for a more low-lit, kind of whiskey bar kind of vibe up here. Some amazing games on this floor. Upstairs is home to our original US import cabs. So what that means is that all the cabinets, well, most of the cabinets upstairs are from America, and they're the original cabinets from back in the day. So we have a 1981 Donkey Kong, we have an original Xevious, Gallagher, Miss Pac-Man, Double Dragon, and Dragon's Lair. Very, very exciting to have these cabs. You don't see them around a lot. Pretty hard to find. And over the last 5 years, we've been so lucky to up this collection, gone from 5 machines to 32 games in a tiny space when you think about it. We are very much a small bar, yet we're able to cram as many of these games in as possible. And having legit games is so important, I feel, for the experience of playing these classics, especially when you're enjoying them with a beer or a cocktail. This is our Golden Age row. So we have a Galaga, Miss Pac-Man. Tetris is our most recent acquisition, obviously very famous game. This is the gorgeous Atari cabinet, which is really fun because 2 players can go head to head. And you'll notice that we got 2 rotate buttons on the control panel here. Fun fact, the classic Tetris World Championships are a thing, and they're a huge thing. They're very, very fun. Played on the classic NES Tetris. We were very lucky to hold 2 Australian classic NES championships at the bar. So obviously getting a Tetris arcade machine was high up on the list. WONDERBOY, this cabinet is the one that Stephen Kerr recently got the world record on. So very special cabinet here to have at 89. And behind me, Point Blank 2, which has been a staple of the arcade for ages. Ever since we've opened, we've had this arcade here. And this is the cab that Thomas Holdsworth got the world record on, which was done earlier this year. And Gauntlet. So you don't see a lot of these cabs around, and we're very lucky to have one here at 89. This is a gorgeous 4-player cabinet from back in the day, the classic dungeon crawler. Very, very chuffed to have this here. Gets a bit of love, I must say, which I'm very happy to see. A lot of people come in and are drawn straight to Gauntlet, especially if they're playing with their mates. Upstairs, oh, it's very hard to kind of get a nice exposure. Upstairs is very much a place for the classics, but also is, if I just go over here and turn around, our event space. We rent this space out. You can have this space privately to yourself. We also do a lot of events up here, from comedy to film nights to trivia, all sorts of stuff. Bubble, which is incredibly popular. People love Bubble. It's a really good game to play with your mates, 2 players. Sunset Riders, I adore this game. Ever since I played it as a kid in my local pub. A run and gun western. Again by Konami, who were just killing it back in the day. Super fun game. Midnight Resistance, again, this cabinet, Stephen Kerr, the Gamer of the Year, got the world record on. An interesting cab because it's an example of a rotary stick joysticks, which you don't see a lot of in the arcades anymore. It's a wonderful game. And again, a bit of history, because this is the cab that has got the current world record on it. Double Dragon, as you can see, it's got the original artwork and the names of the character. It wasn't Billy and Jimmy, it was Hammer and Spike, the 2 brothers who are the stars of Double Dragon. I'm very, very happy to have this here. One of my favorite beat-em-ups, the granddaddy of beat-em-ups. This is the game that started it all for Final Fight and Street Fighter 2. Fantastic game, amazing cabinet. And next to it, we have Dragon's Lair. So this game, famous for being super hard, we're very lucky to have a copy of it, and also lucky to have a version of it that's running off of an original Laserdisc. So the way this game plays is, you're not seeing graphics, you're seeing a Don Bluth film, essentially. Don Bluth, he who made American Tail, he and his studio animated this entire movie. The game is a film. It's chapters of a film playing off of a Laserdisc. So every time you make a wrong move or a right move, the Laserdisc will skip to another chapter, which will then play the animation. And it's incredible. Hard, but incredible. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and thank you so much for supporting us for the last 5 years. I really do hope we get to hang out in the arcade sometime soon when it's reopened. Your continued support means the absolute world to me and everybody here at 1989, so please do come and see us and hang out when we reopen, when the lockdown ends. But in the meantime, please stay safe and well, look after each other, and I hopefully will see you in the arcade very soon. Bye.